You know your setup. You've done the analysis. The chart is ready, the plan is perfect, and still, you don't click execute, you wait for more confirmation. You check another time frame. You tell yourself, just one more signal. And before you know it, the move is gone. This is how 90% of traders lose without even entering the market. Not because they misread the chart, but because they never trusted themselves enough to act. Execution is where psychology meets profit. Every profitable trader knows a plan without action is hesitation disguised as logic. The market rewards decisiveness, not perfection. Impatience kills you fast. Over-planning kills you slowly. And that slow death feels productive because you're working. But the truth is, you're hiding behind preparation. Mark Douglas once said, "You don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. You only need to act when your edge appears." That's execution. It's not about being certain. It's about being consistent in uncertainty. The best traders don't execute because they're sure. They execute because they're prepared. Ask yourself, how many perfect plans did I never trade? Execution is the bridge between your knowledge and your results. Without it, all your charts, setups, and systems are just decoration. Top traders act with controlled confidence. They know when the plan is ready, and they don't wait for the market to beg for approval. Because they understand this. Discipline in execution is rarer than knowledge. Every trade you don't take for fear of being wrong is proof that emotion still owns you. And until you act, you'll never discover how powerful patience plus decisiveness can be together. You can't win the game by studying the field, you win by stepping onto it. That's the difference between planning to trade and trading to win. So before your next session, look at your screen and ask, am I waiting for the market or am I waiting for courage? Because every trader has a moment where the plan is ready, and the only thing left is the click. Now that you've seen how hesitation steals profit, let's decode how top traders turn execution into a habit and never freeze again. If this truth hits you, stop scrolling and start growing, because knowledge means nothing until you act on it. Subscribe to the Trader's Mindset and join the 5% who don't just trade setups. They trade with purpose, precision, and patience. Every trader wants to execute perfectly, but only a few know why they hesitate. The problem isn't in the setup. It's in the space between knowing and doing. That hesitation isn't fear of loss. It's fear of responsibility. Because when you click execute, you stop being a student of theory. You become accountable to your results. And that shift from thinking to doing is where most traders freeze. Top traders don't avoid mistakes. They accept that mistakes are part of momentum. They understand that discipline in execution isn't built through motivation. It's built through repetition, clarity, and self-trust. Discipline doesn't mean forcing yourself to trade. It means following your plan even when your emotions want control. Dr. Brett Steenbarger once said, "Great traders don't fight their emotions. They train them." That's execution discipline. It's not emotionless. It's emotionally intelligent. It's knowing when to act despite your doubt. Most traders think the secret to success is a better strategy. It's not. It's having the discipline to follow one strategy long enough to let it work. Execution discipline is built in 3 silent moments. When you wait for your setup, when you act without hesitation, when you review without judgment. That's where professionalism is born, not from knowledge, but from repetition. Ask yourself, do I have a plan I trust, or do I keep changing it to avoid blame? Because every time you change your rules mid-trade, you reset your discipline. And every time you stay still when your system gives the signal, you weaken your confidence. Top traders protect their confidence like capital, because both can vanish if you let emotion run the show. They don't chase perfection. They chase consistency. The market doesn't pay you for being right. It pays you for being repeatable. That's what execution discipline really means. Repeat the right behavior long enough and the results catch up. Your edge is not your strategy. Your edge is how consistently you execute it. So next time the signal appears, remember this. You don't need courage to act perfectly. You need discipline to act repeatedly. Now that you understand how discipline shapes execution, let's turn it into habit. So you act with control, not emotion, every single day. You don't build discipline once, you install it daily. Execution doesn't come from motivation. It comes from the small actions that happen before the big ones. Most traders think consistency means trading every day. It doesn't. Consistency means showing up the same way every time you trade. Your habits decide how calm, clear, and confident you are the moment opportunity appears. Top traders don't wake up feeling ready. They become ready through repetition. Their morning isn't random, it's a ritual. From reviewing their journal to scanning the same pairs, their routine becomes their trigger for calm execution. The difference between average and professional isn't talent, it's automation of good behavior. Because when you've practiced your plan 100 times, hesitation dies. You no longer ask, "Should I act?" You simply do. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, said, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." That's trading in one line. Your system isn't just on the screen, it's in your behavior. Every checklist, every repeated step, every pre-trade breath tells your brain, "We are in control." When you skip your process, your emotions hijack the moment. When you repeat it, your mind relaxes and execution becomes automatic. Ask yourself, do I have habits that prepare me or habits that distract me? If your first move each day is scrolling charts out of boredom, you've already lost focus. But if your first move is clarity, your setup, your risk, your checklist, you've already won half the battle. Habits make execution effortless because they remove decision fatigue. The more you plan when calm, the easier it is to act under pressure. This is how professionals separate themselves. They don't trade when they feel ready. They trade because their process made them ready. Execution habits aren't glamorous. They're repetitive, simple, and precise. But when repeated long enough, they turn into instinct. And instinct, powered by discipline, is the real definition of trading edge. So build habits that make hesitation impossible. Because one day, your results won't come from willpower. They'll come from what you practiced in silence. Now that your habits drive your actions, let's see how patience shapes those actions, turning speed into precision and timing into profit. Execution isn't only about acting, it's about knowing when not to act. Patience in execution isn't passive waiting, it's active awareness. Most traders confuse stillness with laziness, but the pros know patience is a weapon. It's what separates an impulsive entry from a precision strike. The market constantly whispers, "Now!" But the professional trader knows that every now isn't opportunity. Some are traps designed to test your control. Execution without patience is chaos. Patience without execution is stagnation. The balance between the two is where mastery lives. Paul Tudor Jones once said, "Every day I assume every position I have is wrong. Patience is not waiting. It's watching until the market proves me right." That's the mindset of precision. Top traders don't rush, they align. They execute with timing, not emotion. When you're patient, you're not avoiding action. You're filtering noise from signal. You're giving your strategy the respect it deserves. Think about this. How many trades did you ruin not because of the setup, but because you couldn't wait for confirmation? The difference between a gambler and a professional is simple. The gambler wants to be in the market. The professional wants to be on the right side of it. Patience gives clarity. It slows down your emotions and speeds up your logic. It lets you breathe, observe, and strike only when your edge appears. And when that edge finally aligns, you act without hesitation, because your calm has created certainty. The market rewards those who can wait without losing focus, because in trading, waiting is a form of work. It's the hardest skill to master, and the most profitable one to keep. Patience in execution is not about delay. It's about discipline in timing. The kind that turns silence into strategy and stillness into strength. Now that you've mastered timing through patience, let's uncover how top traders detach from emotion, executing without fear or hesitation. When you execute, you enter the market, but when you detach, you master it. Most traders lose not because of bad analysis, but because they can't separate their identity from their trade. You are not your last trade. You are not your profit or loss. You are the consistency between both. Emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It means you care about the process more than the outcome. Because the moment your emotions become your signal, your strategy becomes your hostage. The best traders in the world have one thing in common. They don't let emotions decide when to act, when to hold, or when to exit. Their calm is not luck. It's a trained response. Mark Douglas said it best. When you truly accept the risk, you will be at peace with any outcome. That's emotional freedom, not because you're fearless, but because you're focused. Fear makes you exit too soon. Hope makes you stay too long. Detachment makes you follow the plan. If your trades define your mood, you're emotionally owned by the market. But when your process defines your emotion, you own your outcomes. Ask yourself, do I feel my emotions, or do they control me? Emotional detachment is the invisible edge that top traders guard fiercely. They don't chase wins, they execute patterns. They don't react to losses, they refine their process. Every loss teaches discipline. Every win tests humility. And both are meaningless without balance. When you can smile after a losing trade, review it without judgment, and trade again with the same calm, you've reached true mastery. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop trading your feelings, because the market isn't your enemy. Your emotions are detach, execute, repeat. That's how top traders turn chaos into control, and control into consistency. Now that emotion no longer owns your execution, let's learn how top traders build unshakable confidence, the kind that makes discipline automatic. Confidence doesn't come from being right, it comes from being in control when everything feels uncertain. Most traders chase confidence the wrong way. They want it before they act, but confidence doesn't come before execution. It's built through execution. Every time you follow your plan despite fear, you're teaching your brain that control is possible. And control, not luck, is what builds unshakable confidence. Top traders don't hope their next trade works. They trust themselves to work their next trade. Their confidence isn't emotional, it's mechanical. It's the quiet certainty that no matter what happens, they will respond, not react. Dr. Brett Steenbarger said, "Confidence is not believing you will win. It's knowing you can handle losing. That's the kind of confidence you can't fake." It's not arrogance, it's awareness. It's not about how big your account is. It's about how small your panic becomes. Confidence through control is the moment when discipline and detachment merge. You stop fighting the market. You start flowing with it. Ask yourself, when my trade goes against me, do I lose control or take command? Every moment you stay calm under pressure, you're reinforcing your belief that you belong here, in this game with the best. You're proving that emotions are temporary, but mastery is permanent. Confidence is not built in a winning streak. It's built when you take a loss, adjust your stop, breathe, and plan the next move with the same clarity. Because confidence is the reward for discipline. It's the echo of every small decision you controlled, every time you waited, every trade you didn't force. In trading, control creates confidence, and confidence protects control. That loop is where professional mindset lives. The market respects those who respect their own limits. And that's the paradox of mastery. When you stop needing control, you finally gain it. Now that you've built control and confidence, it's time to see how top traders sustain it, turning discipline into flow and flow into consistency. Consistency is the quiet result of everything you've built so far. Discipline, patience, emotional balance, and control. It's not luck. It's not motivation. It's a rhythm. Top traders don't chase consistency. They create it. And they do it by removing friction between thought and action. That state, where execution flows naturally, is called flow. In the flow state, there's no overthinking, no hesitation, no emotion, just awareness, precision, and trust. It's when you and the market move together, not against each other. You don't feel like you're trading anymore. You're just expressing your process. Consistency begins when your routine becomes ritual. You review your trades not to feel good, but to stay sharp. You follow your rules not because you have to, but because you can't imagine trading without them. The secret of every top trader isn't that they never break discipline. It's that they built a system that makes discipline automatic. Steve Ward, trading performance coach, once said, "The key to consistency is preparation, because once the market opens, your brain should already know what to do." That's flow. That's where your edge stops being intellectual and becomes instinctive. Ask yourself, am I trading my plan or still fighting it? When your actions align with your plan, you stop trying to predict the market. You start synchronizing with it. That's when trading stops feeling like work and starts feeling like clarity. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. Even when the market moves against you, you move within yourself. The more consistent your process, the calmer your emotions, and the steadier your growth. You can't control the outcome of any trade, but you can control how consistently you act. And in that consistency lies freedom. Because true mastery isn't about winning every time. It's about showing up the same way, every single time. That's where flow begins, and where greatness never ends. Now that you've found your rhythm in consistency, it's time for the final step, the mindset of mastery that defines professional traders. Mastery doesn't begin when you make your first big profit. It begins the day you stop needing one. The professional mindset isn't about being fearless. It's about being free from the noise that controls everyone else. When you reach mastery, trading stops being about money and starts being about meaning. Every chart becomes a mirror. It reflects your habits, your patience, your confidence, and your growth. Top traders don't see trades as wins or losses. They see them as data, feedback, evolution. Because once you master yourself, the market becomes your echo. Paul Tudor Jones said it perfectly. The most important rule of trading is to play great defense, not great offense. That's the essence of mastery. You protect your capital, your focus, and your discipline above all else. The amateur fights the market. The professional flows with it. The master anticipates it, not because he knows the future, but because he knows himself. Ask yourself, am I reacting to the market, or am I responding as a professional? When you've mastered your mindset, every loss becomes a lesson, every profit becomes confirmation, and every day becomes practice. You stop chasing setups. They start aligning with you. You stop forcing outcomes. They start following your preparation. This is where trading turns into peace, where confidence becomes quiet and discipline becomes effortless. You realize mastery was never about the market. It was always about you. The charts, the patterns, the strategies, they're all tools. But the real instrument is your mind. And when that mind becomes calm, focused, and aware, you no longer trade to prove something. You trade because you've become something, a professional. So protect your process like capital. Respect your growth like profit. And remember, mastery isn't a destination. It's a rhythm you live every single day. Because in the end, the best traders don't win by force. They win by flow. If this journey spoke to you, it's time to step beyond theory and into mastery. Subscribe to the Trader's Mindset and join those who don't just trade the market. They trade their transformation.